Members, my apologies for being late for this event. I sincerely apologize to the speakers as well. Got stuck into the traffic. I thought I would be here by 5:30, but also could not make it. So I apologize for that. Yeah. My request is here, Rajiv sir, to escort the speaker, today's speaker, Prabhudev Aradhya sir. Please present a floor bouquet to the speakers. Now, much already here. I will just go upon to introduce today's speaker. Prabhudev Aradhya sir. Prabhudev Aradhya sir, after having completed the Chartered Accountancy in 1978, with over 4 decades of experience in practice of Chartered Accountancy and MSME sectors, he had an experience in development financial sectors for over 7 years in Karnataka State Finance Corporation. He was responsible for the project appraisals, sanctions, monitoring, recovery and rehabilitation of industrial projects in MSME sector. Later, he entered into the industrial manufacturing sector after he led an MSME right from its inception. He also set up a couple of units in the MSME sectors in the field of aptech computers, training in Bangalore and Tumkur. At present, professionally, he is heading the Bangalore office, one of the leading chartered accountant firms in India, MS Raju and Prasad. Having an office in Bangalore, Chennai, Mumbai, Jalgaon, Tirupati, Hyderabad, handling central statutory, information security audits, forensic audits and other specialized audits of various public sectors, private sectors and foreign banks and many corporates. Also was a director of Messrs. Human Consulting Private Limited and consulting arm of the CFO, empaneled with the World Bank, ADB Bank, AFDB and UNDP, etc. He is a governing council member of the Ramayana Institute of Bangalore Management Studies. He is a professional member of All India Management Association, past assistant governor, Rotary District 3190, past honorary treasurer, Rotary, past president, Rotary Bangalore West, past council, International Service, Rotary District, past chairman of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, Bangalore, vice chairman and president of Bangalore Management Association, past director of Tumkur Grain Merchant Cooperative Bank Limited, past treasurer, Karnataka Chitrakala Parishad. As an expert on MSME development, he was a member of the National Steering Committee on UNIDO on subcontracting and outsourcing for 3 years. He is deeply involved in MSME consultancy in the past 4 decades and has been in the forefront of propagating MSME IPOs by educating MSMEs and professionals the benefits of it, thereby building the ecosystem of MSME IPO by addressing various forms of chartered accountants and Chamber of Commerce and Industry. He is also assisted by his daughter Deepika Aradhya, an MBA graduate who worked as a wealth manager and the financial advisor in top banks of ICI, Citibank and Kotak Bank. She runs the firm Aradhya Capital Edge, which offers customized financial consultancy for MSME to reach their capital goals. She is the 3rd generation Aradhya working for the empowerment of industry, entrepreneurship and startups. So, now we present the speakers for their deliberations.
Thank thank you, Honorable Secretary, for the kind words. Good evening, my dear professional friends. Having been in the MSME sector for more than 4 decades, it's always a pleasure to be associated with the MSMEs in one way or the other. And the latest which has come in now has been the SME IPO. And I am trying to do my best to create awareness amongst the MSMEs about the SME IPO. While I was running around meeting many MSMEs, having been associated with the CASIA, Karnataka Small Scale Industry Association, having been associated with FKCCI, so I have been meeting many of the MSMEs. What I find, not only the MSMEs are not aware much about the SME IPO, even though it was brought in by legislation in the Parliament way back in 2014. But in South India, probably our own conservatism or lack of awareness has not really brought it. Just a small statistics to say, as on today, around 2,000 IPOs have happened among the MSMEs. Most of it have been in North India and the Western. Out of the 2,000, you will be shocked, I am telling you, how much could be from Karnataka? Could be around 30 to 35. How much in South India? Around 200 to 220. This is the disappointing information which I have got to share at the beginning itself. And I don't blame the MSMEs for this, because there are people who only work and work. For them, they were always an advisor, and these advisors are who? You and me. So when I say awareness amongst the MSMEs, it's not there about the SME IPO. Most of that comes on to you and me. We as chartered accountants, many a time, are not aware about the MSME IPO. We are bogged down with GST, audits, and income tax all the time. When it comes to income tax, I would like to tell something at the end. Even if I forget, please remind me. This awareness among the chartered accountants is the most important one. As part of it, in fact, last year I was also addressing the CA Institute here as part of the program. And I don't know how many of you were there in the last year's address of mine. Anyone of you were there? No. Okay. Good enough. So it only says how much of interest you have in trying to understand. In spite of the range you are coming, shows the interest you have in SME IPOs. My only request to you, my friends, is please propagate this idea to your own clients who are MSMEs and who get the best benefit of that. Through the presentation, you will see what the benefits are. Through the presentation, you will understand what the IPO means. And this is what you people have to carry. What I am trying to do here. And this will be only through you people who can, you are the ones who can really impress upon the MSMEs to make them understand how beneficial an IPO would be. Now that most of you are not here, were not here last time, I would like to tell you the SEBI, which is the controlling authority for this IPOs, did have certain LODR, the regulations which were there earlier, and that's the one which I had presented last time. That's the main reason I asked as to how many were you there. Now they have made some amendments recently for various reasons, because this entire process of IPO, take it from me, is 100% transparent. and it is SEBI regulated, monitored by the stock exchange. There is nothing hanky-panky about the whole issue at all. So you and your clients can be rest assured about the transparency part of it, and you can always take it forward, make them understand. And one assurance I can give on behalf of Deepika and myself, if there is any issue which you have, you talk to your clients at any point of time on the MSME IPO, just give a call to us. We are there to help you out. Not an issue, but we must think it. When 2,000 people can do it there, why is it we are lacking behind more so in Karnataka? Conservatism has to be removed. Another statistics for you is, out of this around 2,000 of these IPOs, the failure rates have been hardly around 5 or 10 of them. 10 by numbers. I'm not talking percentages. 5 or 10. A lot of advantages by this. So now that I said none of you were there, just I'll give a small recap to the presentation which I made last time, so that you know what was there earlier and what is the change which has happened now. So that gives a more clearer picture for you. And the major issue with MSMEs today in India is very clearly they are very undercapitalized and highly leveraged. I was also working with KSFC, you know, all of you have heard of KSFC, State Finance Corporation. We used to give loans to the MSMEs. 75% we give the loan, you bring in 25%. You see the leveraging there, almost 3 times, 1 is to 3. And very high technical cases, many special cases, many for various reasons, we have even gone up to 90%. Now those were the days. Why and all, no questions at this stage. We'll leave it at that. But then the fact, even the banks also give 75%, 50%, 60%, 70%. That means the leveraging which we have in the MSMEs, it is highly, debt-based. Now, what is your capital in that? 20%, 25% only. This MSME IPO is an opportunity to get into the capital market. This is what we have been looking at. How can this be? You have 100 rupees, 100 shares in your company. You want to go for an IPO. In simple terms, I will be telling you. You can issue, depending on the valuation and other things, we will come to that later. You can issue 126% or 125%. That means another 25% of extra shares can be publicly issued. Or in the alternative, out of this 100% also, you can issue around 25 to 36%, and you can reduce your promoters and the shareholders to 70%. There are 2 ways. One is with the offer for sale, and the other one is the IPO. Both are anyway through the public issue mechanism only, it will go in. SEBI has very clearly mentioned any MSMEs goes for an IPO, it has to be 100% underwritten. I am sure all of you know what is underwriting. Underwriting is, there are the professional underwriters in the share market, stock market. They underwrite to say, okay, I take up 25% of this public issue. Somebody else will say, I will take 30%. Somebody else says 25%. It goes on. So it could be that in a larger IPO, which many of these people have been doing, when I say larger IPO, the bigger companies which they do, it is not that all the 100% is underwritten. Maybe 50% is underwritten, 60% is underwritten. If there is a shortage of subscription in that company at the time of issue, that has to be made up by this underwriters only. Underwriter undertakes to see that he takes up whatever he has committed. So in the main IPO, not that it is 100% underwritten, there can be 100%, it can be 10%, or it need not be there at all. But still he can go ahead with the IPO. Whether the IPO fails or runs, it's up to them. But in MSME IPO, the biggest important point is SEBI has said it has to be 100% underwritten. So it's not that MSME will be doing it, it is these investment bankers or others will take care of those things, you don't have to bring it. But it will be 100% underwritten. So public issue is made, 100 shares are issued to the public. Only public comes in, only they might not have much interest in your company, they might only come as 40 shares can be subscribed. The remaining 60 will be taken up by these underwriters. So that means as far as you, when you say you and your MSME is assured of the full 100% money through the underwriters. So this is one very big point which SEBI has done, and this legislation which has come. The cost of IPO, at that time we had mentioned about it is less than a year's borrowing cost. Now this is one important point which all of you have to understand as chartered accountants of those MSMEs. If you take a term loan, as I said, okay, in KSFC would have given a term, KSIDC gives a term, bank gives a term. For a term loan, you will end up paying anywhere between at least around 9% and goes on up to even 18, 19, 20% also. Sure? Any disagreement on this, please? So you are paying this interest on those term loans, not just for 1 year. You are paying it for a span of at least 7, 8, 9, 10, 12 years. Whereas the cost of an IPO is almost the borrowing cost of a year. That's it. Once you make that payment, it is true. You don't have to pay. Even that cost of the IPO can also come through the IPO itself. So that means there is nothing you have to pay from your pocket. It has to be argued. All this restructuring and all will be done by people like us and you together work for the client together. Now when a term loan is taken, as you know, you will be giving your project report for investing in land, building, machineries. And if you say working capital, again working capital becomes a different ball game. They say there it will be 14%, 25%. So if you ask for another expenditure of some other thing, marketing expenses, say if you want to ask. I want to set up an office in Bombay, so there another 25 lakhs will be the expenditure. A term loan will not be given for that. You are aware of it from the financial institutions or the banks. But whereas in an IPO, it can be used for all the, whatever required for that particular business. It could be for the expansion, it could be for acquiring another company, it could be any of these things, and then setting up marketing offices all over. Things like that. So there is no restriction, but it has to be only to that particular business which you are doing. And it is also very well monitored as declared. You have to declare that in the dead herring prospectus, RHP. When you do it in the RHP, and according to that only, it goes to the IPO amount goes to the escrow account. In the escrow account, they release it only for that purpose. But what are the advantage here is, when compared to the term loans, we can use it for other businesses purpose, business expenses purposes also. The IPO will be helpful to you. Now there has been a notion among some of the half-informed MSMEs that they will lose control on the company once they go for an IPO. This is exactly the point you as chartered accountants come into the picture. I as a chartered accountant, I will also assure you that none of these people can lose control of the company because they are only diluting 25% of the shareholding. They still hold the 75% with them. So where is the question of losing the control?
Maximum 25%?
Maximum. You can't dilute more than that. You can do it also if you wish. But the minimum is 25%. I will put it that way, not the maximum. Sorry. So 20, you want to dilute 30%, go ahead. If the people are ready to take it, why not? If the people like your company, good. They are ready to take it up. So, but this notion to say that they lose the control of the company is something similar to, I was just now at the tea time I was talking to somebody, I was telling that it's something like among the students class. Now that all of you are, chartered accountants, I can tell this. Among the CA students, among the BCom students and all some students, if somebody says I want to do CA, immediately the first thing, 75% of the students say, oh, it's very difficult. Correct, na? All of you have faced it in your student days. It is something like that. The peer pressure within that and the peer pressure among the MSMEs says that we lose control of it. That's where we chartered accountants come into the picture as to do the restructuring of that and ensure that control is there completely. There is also another point which I would like to add here. This 25% which you dilute, SEBI has also put a very clear condition that it has to be at least for 50 investors. So if you say 50 investors take 25%, what is it each investor will be having? Hardly 0.5%. Do you think a 0.5% fellow can come and control your company? This is not known to the people, that's all. They are not aware, MSMEs are not aware of it. You should carry that information to them, that professional information which you are about to talk to them and tell them it's not so. Still they are not convinced, bring them to me, I will talk. I will convince them. It's very simple. SEBI said there has to be 50 investors here. Now they have made a change which will come to that later, that how that allotment of 50 people also will have to be done. So they are bringing in a lot of certain rules also to make it very transparent and pakka and robust and with a lot of integrity. Now what is this IPO ecosystem? What is this? Who are the people involved in this ecosystem which is there? SME's financial advisor. I have made a very broad statement here. SME's financial advisor is none other than you. You are the advisor. You are the face of the SME. You are the one who can tell him what. I can't go and tell a SME fellow straight away because the level of confidence he has built up in you over a period of time as his auditor. He listens to you much more than anybody else. Isn't it? But you have to convince him to that extent and tell him that he is getting a lot of benefits out of it. But there will be a lot more questions he will be asking you, MSME man. Certainly they will ask questions. He is there for that. Fine. Don't worry. The next person comes into the picture. The IPO consultant. That is somebody like me. We are there to solve any of these technical issues which comes up for him, which you can understand but not the MSME man. Many of the things, whether it's concerning the ROC or the capital restructuring, he may not understand much. He only wants control on his company because MSMEs are very much attached to their company emotionally. That is the reason. So, the IPO consultant will convince him to that extent if the SME advisor cannot take it forward also. But be rest assured, the SME financial advisor, that's the auditor of the company, and IPO consultant are two independent people. They will not cross their lines at any point of time. If I want to talk to any of you or to any of your clients, I am not interested, nor I would cross the professional decency of trying to take away that MSME man to my fort, either for a taxation or audit or anything. Personally, my firm is quite big enough. We are 14 partners all over India. We are in category 1 in banks and CIDG and all that. So we are not interested in all that. So likewise, the IPO consultant should be such that he does his job only as far as the IPO is concerned. He is part of the ecosystem for a good IPO. So we also will help you out to ensure that the IPO comes through this. Now the next list of outsiders come into the picture. Here at least we are bound by the CA rules, CA regulations, all that, and we are chartered accountants, we are brethren in our own profession. Then comes the investment bankers, the merchant bankers, investors, investor groups, all these people. This is the most difficult thing which you have to do. It is as difficult as, some of your youngsters are here, I can tell that. It is as difficult as finding the right match for yourself, the right boy or the right girl. IPO consultant and financial SME financial advisor can act, will act, not only can, will act as a pujari in between. I can take that way in a due respect. We'll find out. We have a list of identified bankers who have proved, each of them have their own preferences. One person likes to do only travel agency cases. One banker would like to have only hotel cases. One person would want only tech related MSMEs. They have their own preferences. They also can rule their own rules onto you, be careful. So the IPO consultant will be the right person to take care of who will be the right person for your MSMEs. And then I told you about the underwriters. Underwriters, this again, through the bankers we take the identify the underwriters. Underwriting I've already told you, or you know about it. SEBI, the most important player, the king of the game. He is the one who rules everything. And you know what SEBI is today? The way they have been putting their foot down on everything. It's an excellent agency which is taking care of the Indian market today, Indian finance market. Even though the Indian finance market is flushed with funds for IPOs, it is the right time for us also to get it. But SEBI is really controlling it. Then the DRSP has to be prepared. DRSP is the draft red herring prospectus. This will be prepared by the bankers in association with us and the claim. And this is all again transparent documents which are required by the exchange and the SEBI. Then we go to the launching of the IPO. Then we go for share allotments. Then the listing on the stock exchange. Before we go to the market maker, listing of the stock exchange, this is a critical time which we have to work on to ensure that you get the best of the values for your share. We will work on that as and when it comes up. The market maker is the one who will help you out to ensure the market gives the right price to you. And there will be a few post-listing compliances. There is a list of it which I will show you in the next slide. And those compliances are there. There is also one more apprehension when I say compliances here. MSMEs, they say I am a partnership, I am a proprietary, I am happy with what I am doing. Whatever I say, my partners sign and it's okay. Even an LLP, I have no issues. But then once I go for an IPO, there will be a lot of compliances. When compared to the main board IPO, as I said, compliances for MSMEs have been reduced quite a lot by the SEBI. The rules have been cut down quite a lot on that, and you don't have to worry about it. You become more professional. You are be a well-managed company also, and it is the company secretaries and the chartered accountant who will take care of it. You will be a professional company. The company. That's what you have to tell your MSMEs. It's simple. It is not that today. Do you think he can file his own returns, income tax returns? No. He is taking your help. The same way you take the professional help there. That's all. And the cost involved is minimal, very minimal when compared to what benefits you get. I'll come to the benefits at a later stage. Sorry?
RSP is not required.
RHP.
Draft RSP first we file. It is SEBI.
You will file a DRHP first.
DRHP.
After the approval, it becomes
Then you
RHP.
file RSP.
When you are
RSP
filing.
is compulsory.
Yeah. RHP is compulsory. That's why you say that's as good as your, going back to my joke, it's your jatka.
Yes, sir.
Simple. So, you have to tell all those.
So here is printed in RSP.
Huh?
Here before listing RSP will come into picture.
RHP will come in. DRHP I told no. Listing will include RHP. That's why I did say RHP specifically. Okay. So these were the ones which I had presented earlier. Now we come to the new regulations. What are the major, I only will go to those things which are the major changes which have happened during this new one which came in the early March. It has been announced. The LODR has been announced by the SEBI for some of the things which are relevant. There are some more smaller issues which each case will be different. When we sit together on the case on the particular MSME, it might change to those things. We will discuss and take care of it. Those are all not much things. The major ones which are relevant now, only I have now print. But what was the objective for SEBI to do these things? They wanted to enhance investor protection. You know, SEBI saw the failure of 5-10 of those IPOs, misuse of the IPOs. I can use that word also, misuse also of the IPOs, closure of those companies. So immediately SEBI woke up and said, no, this cannot happen. Investor confidence will go down on SEBI, on the exchange. That's where they got into action. And they released a draft paper. Yeah, I also responded to those draft papers, white papers. After collecting all those things, now they have come up and issued the rules recently in March. So the objective was to enhance investor protection, excessive offloading of the shares. As I said, you asked 75%, 25% only. What happens if IPO is done for 50%, 60%? Then SEBI will have an extra look in that case. It will not be so easy. Maybe in the earlier ones there was no rule to say that it has to be only 75% or 25%. It was only that way. Now it also said you can do much more than that. Now they go with the extra eye on such things where there is more than 25%. Why you are doing more than 25%? Are you trying to get out of the company, give it to the investors and run away? Is what they will ask. And we are going to convince them all. They will be ensuring financial stability, past and future. For that purpose, they have brought in these new rules. Stricter criteria for SME to list. Earlier, there were some regulations and they have made it more strict. I'll come to that next. Boosting transparency. More transparency, more declarations, more information you've got to share in the DRSP and as well as compliances. Robust disclosure and public review process. IPO have a lot of public review and processes, disclosures also. Earlier, when I come to that, I will tell you. What are the key topics in these things? Change the basic eligibility of SME listing, which I will tell you what it is. New definition for MSME, which they have brought in. New listing norms. Promoter share sale restrictions. You as a promoter, you want to sell your share also in the market after listing. There are certain restrictions for that. You can't again, you collect the money, then give it to the public and run away. 100 rupees share is sold in the public, with IPO happens for say 150 rupees. You collect 150 rupees and run away. It cannot happen. So we will not allow that. That is the reason. There are some restrictions on it. Earlier it was there. They could have done it also. Now they will not allow. So there are some lock-in periods, transparency measures, and revised allocation methodology, allotment of the shares also. They have changed the methodology because some people were cornering those things. I understand just the information. There are groups, finance groups in different parts of the country, which they will get together and invest. That 25% is invested in by the group. This was what was going on, it seems. Now SEBI is spotting this. If they see that it's a very good company, they will corner those things and then take it. All sorts of things are being done in the finance market. SEBI is bringing a lot of rules to them. Now, one by one I will take that. Basic eligibility criteria for SME listing. MSME should be registered. That MSME should be a registered MSME under the Udyam, it should have a Udyam card. Udyam card, you got to apply, take it if you are not having it. If you are not having it and if you don't know how to do it, it's a simple process. You get in touch with us, you can also do it.
What is the card name?
Udyam card, MSME Udyam card. Now they also look at eligibility criteria for the tracker card. There were earlier days it was slightly different. Now minimum 3 years of documented operations with audited financial statements, they say now. This is the new rule. Very specifically they have said. Earlier they said you should be in operation for the last 3 years. Now they say you have the audited financial statements, which you have already filed in the last 2 years with the income tax or things like that, with the ROC. Others. So that means.
Suppose there is a partnership which is having some 150 crores turnover.
Little louder please.
If there is a partnership which is having some 150 crores turnover, what they convert into private limited or limited.
There is a separate rule for the partnership.
Minimum waiting period.
Yes, minimum waiting period after you convert If you are in business for more than 3 years, number one, as a partnership.
Yeah.
Number two, you convert today, say. One full financial year, you should have got it in the private limited company or the private limited.
Yeah.
And after that only you can come. Now today if you do, you are already in the 16th April, so one financial year is out for you. So next financial year, 26, 27 you have to complete.
Right.
27 April onwards only you get.
The
So
minimum-
these conversion and all are not brought in here because of specific cases when it comes, but now that you have asked the question,
The minimum dilution is 26.5%.
26.5%. 26.4 you can do that. Small variation is not issue. So now the SEBI says you must have 3 years of documented operation. If you are already a private limited company and you already have got the 3 years of audited balance sheets, tomorrow itself we can start out with the work. Like that. And just a information for you, the process of IPO would take anywhere between 4 to 5 months when it is being listed. 4 to 5 months because SEBI first time when you, the exchange first time when you file the DRSP, they say so, but in our case, in other 2-3 cases which we have done, they didn't ask so much, they will ask 50 questions. To answer those questions are very important. That can be done by your company secretary, yourself and me. All the three of us have to sit together and do it. If you are transparent and you are straightforward, there is nothing to worry about. Okay, audited financial statements. Financial condition of this company, MSME should be, it should have positive net worth in at least 2 out of the last 3 financial years. Positive net worth. Positive net worth was not there in the earlier SEBI rules. They had only said positive PAT should be there at least in 2 years out of 3 years. Earlier it was there. And the other criteria may include a minimum operating profit or EBITDA requirement. Now they have brought in this also. EBITDA requirement also they have brought in. EBITDA, you all know, earnings before interest, tax, depreciation, amortization. If there is by chance any amortization expenses there, that also actually before that. So you should be plus. And when I say this, important is whatever has been your PAT or the EBITDA profit, based on that only your valuation comes in. The private equity people have their own standards of valuation. That doesn't fit into IPOs. So don't get carried away by that and this. Here the valuation will be totally different based on the PAT, based on the EBITDA. On the multiples of that and how you come into those figures, you can work. Each individual case will be different. Additional checks on this. There should not be any regulatory or insolvency actions on the company, which is a natural thing for everybody. Adherence to prescribed net tangible asset requirements. As I said, there should be net tangible requirements that only to say that it's a robust business. It should not be only on tangible, this happens in many cases of the software business. Tangible and intangible assets coming into the picture. That's the reason SEBI brought in this, because some people had such kind of issues. MSME registration. Who is eligible for MSME registration? Even that change has been made in the last budget. The definition is a composite definition. Whichever is, they give 2 criteria, whichever is achieved earlier will be eligible for the MSME certificate. As a micro enterprises, there should be 2.5 crores of investment or 10 crores of turnover. Whichever is achieved first, that becomes micro. Small enterprises, 25 crores of investment or 100 crores of turnover. Medium enterprises, 125 crores of investment or 500 crores of turnover. Once you reach 500 crores and above, then you are not an MSME. So if you have to be if you are going for an IPO, please ensure that you do it much before this limits of 500 crores or 125 crores happen. Which are the new listing norms for the SMEs? As I said, profitability and the documentation, minimum track record of profitability. As I said, the operating profit and EBITDA for relevant financial years. That is the point for valuation also. Exchange will be very particular to see those companies which are having well documented documents for the SME, access to the public market. And they want to go to the public, they also have to see your documentation is perfect and you are financially stable. Like any other, if some investor comes in, when a private equity fellow comes to you, he also will expect the same thing to you. But what is the difference between private equity and IPO? Anybody would like to tell that?
Private is within the limited sector. IPO is open for the public.
Come again?
Private equity is within the sector, family, friends, etc., until your friends.
Okay.
And IPO is a public.
Small difference in the first one. Private equity is, there are a set of people, it's part of the ecosystem of financing also. Private equity is those people who put in the money into your company for the idea which you have also. But the problem there will be that they will really, hold control on your company totally. They give you targets, they say you must do this, you must do that, then only you can get this. Otherwise, any day they can simply take over because the exit policy will be, they can get out also, they can again take over also. All these are in the fine print also. Here no fine print, everything will be transparent by the exchange. Now I mentioned about the promoter holdings issue where diluting of those things. Now how much they can dilute once the IPO is made? Promoter can dilute a maximum of 20% of his as an offer for sale. I told you it could be offer for sale or it could be 100 to 125 or within 100 up to 25%. So, but the promoters cannot hand over more than 20% of this. There are
Sorry, what is the meaning of promoter when you are a private limited company and then you are this?
the promoters of the private limited companies. Simple. You know your own client, no? Who are the promoters of the primary shareholders who start out the company. The memorandum people who have signed the memorandum and articles.
What
And
I
there could
asked-
be a change also later. But then the latest change. And one more important, now that you raise this point, I have not brought in here. Have I answered you? I'll go to the next
No,
one.
I just have one doubt because there could be other investors who have joined in this company purely like a financial investor, like a PE investor.
PE investors, that will be a different ballgame. We will look into that each individual case and then do it because PE investors will have their own rules to follow and according to them then the IPO and there will be a clash between IPO and the PE.
Yeah, especially this 20%, they want to.
This is only to those promoters. We talk of the promoters only. PEs are not promoters. They are not promoters. Now that you raise this issue of the promoters, there is also one more rule, a small rule, where if the promoter, if there is a change in the promoter in the course of last 1 year or 3 years, the SEBI also needs that to be declared and they have certain conditions on that. I will come to that as and when any individual case is there. So we don't have to worry at this stage. Now, leaving out the promoters, we have the individual shareholders also in any company. Sales of that, only 50% of that can be offered for sale. Now the lock-in they said for the promoters. Excess holdings over and above the above, only 50% of that can be sold by them after 1 year. And another 50% can be sold after 2 years. That means the promoters cannot run away. This is what SEBI is trying to ensure. By that time, in the span of 3 years, the company would have grown or not grown. The share prices also would have gone down if it is not growing. The share prices would have gone up also. The promoter will think twice to get out, to exit. If he is doing well, if the share price is going up, why should he get out? And then there are some other reasons. So to stop all these, underhanded dealings, SEBI has put these conditions recently. The rationale behind this, SEBI says, is a long-term commitment from the promoters. They want the promoters to be there. It is not the promoters starts a company today, 3 years he runs and gives an IPO and run away. Makes money. No, it cannot happen because the investors will be at loss. Who will run the company? SMEs cannot be run by the shareholders all the time.
Is there any cap in individual promoter limits?
Individual.
Promoters.
So whatever has been there earlier, it can continue to be there. They will not change the promoters until you decide. Up to the extent of 20% you can dilute. Otherwise you don't have to dilute. But you have to dilute 25%. That is for the IPO, 26%. You have to do it. That is there. So that adjustment you have to see. Those are the financial restructurings which we have to sit and do. How we have to go.
So what is the minimal contribution?
What is the minimum?
Minimal contribution. So excess above the minimal contribution. Right? What is minimal contribution?
The one which has been mentioned above, the 20% and the 50% of the share. Over and above that, it has to be held for 50%. Out of that 50%, 20% is already done here, say. The remaining 80%, out of that 40% has to be held for 1 year, minimum, and another 40% for 2 years. You got it? The goal again here by SEBI is maintaining the market stability. The market should not, like what has happened in the last week, you saw the market. Suddenly there was a fall of 1,000 points in Sensex, 1,200 points. Suddenly it went up by 1,300 points. Again it fell. Within a span of 10 days. These things should not affect the MSMEs, is the point behind this. And the investor confidence has to be there. So enhanced transparency measures, DRHP public, this is the new rule which has been brought in. The DRHP you were just now asking, DRHP once it is filed, it will be mandatory for 21 days to be kept for public review, public feedbacks. Somebody would give some wrong information in the DRHP. Any member of the public can come and say these people are telling some wrong figures in the DRHP. This was not there in the earlier rules. Improves, the impact is it improves disclosure quality. When you and me give the disclosure, the quality has to be good and boosts overall transparency. That's the impact on it. Allocation, I mentioned earlier about how it is allocated. Earlier it used to be allocation to this group of 50 people. Say 500 people apply for it, 50 people are given. Now this has to be done on the, earlier it was on a proportionate allotment to each of them. Out of the 200 people, 50 people were given, all that will not happen. It was proportional allotment which was done earlier for the non-institutional, for the retail investors. Now the change they say it will be out of draw of lots as much as is done in the main board IPOs, the bigger IPOs. It will also be by the draw of lots. But the objective for this is ensure a more equitable distribution of shares and to reduce mispricing risk. Personally, me, I might differ on this issue. That drawing lots system is more transparent or it gives mispricing risk are reduced. But it's what SEBI has thought and we are going to follow. And probably yes, out of the experience which they have, with the control they have, they might do it also. It's okay, fine. Regulation or use of proceeds. It is more regulated. Whatever you have mentioned in the RSP, only those things can be, you cannot change those purposes subsequently after the IPO. Now, there is one special thing which is available in an IPO. As I said, plant, building, machinery, whatever those things are, marketing. You also can have up to a maximum of 10%, 15% of the IPO, not more than 10 crores, as general purpose expenses, which is related to the business. That is also now specifically allowed. Earlier it was not specifically allowed, now it is specifically allowed. And whichever is lower. Very important point, it should not be used for repaying. You MSMEs, all of you know, you would have told your MSME clients to bring in loans from your friends and relatives. Friends and relatives is a common entry in the balance sheets of our MSMEs, right? All of us have the loans. But you can't repay those loans with promoters related entities are there that are very strictly brought in as a rule. Now, what are the advantages for SME listing? My colleague Deepika will probably dwell on this, and I'll come back to the panel later.
So why do we have to do the SME IPO? Yeah, that's a question which comes first. You've been reading the papers about, Zepto becomes an unicorn, or the Blue Smart, which is now in the news for all the wrong reasons. So we have had unicorns, we've had, the original unicorns like the Flipkart and Ola, which now went public. The Ola, IPO happened. It's a main board IPO. So what's a unicorn? Anybody can tell me? What's a unicorn? It's the valuation. It's the 1 billion valuation that a company gets. We all know something like, say, Zepto is actually a loss-making company, but still it gets valued at 1 billion plus. And here you see your clients, the traditional SMEs who are toiling day and night, but they have no clue, no idea about what a valuation is. Yeah. So an SME IPO helps, and this is one of the biggest advantage, is that the valuation which is, which should accrue to them, which should accrue to that particular company is, they get that valuation. So the fair market valuation is what the market values them, and it's not like, as he was explaining, not the private equity valuation. What we just spoke about, the unicorns and the tech unicorn companies are valued by the private equity players. Here the market values them very fairly. So the funds, we are opening up the company to raise funds. As we saw in the first slide, most of the SMEs are highly leveraged. Here you have almost like, free funding. So you can access a higher amount of funding through the SME IPO for, growth, for business expansion, innovation, diversification, for whatever. There's one factory, you want to put up another plant. So you need an equal amount of money. How do you bring that? Through an IPO. Once the company is listed, it attracts investors, further. So you build the brand, you help in brand recognition, brand recall. After 2 years, the company can voluntarily shift to main board. So in SME IPO, usually shares are traded in lots. Once it goes up, once it becomes a big enough company from an SME, it goes into a large scale company, and it can move to the main board IPO, where most of the shares, most of the companies which are listed. So once it moves, it's not traded in lots anymore, it's traded in number of shares. Once the company is listed, its credit rating also changes. So a publicly listed company has had a due diligence done by a public. So which means their standing, their stature is much higher compared to their peer group. So they immediately get better terms and conditions with their lenders. Also, an SME which is listed, even with vendors, with government tenders, everywhere an SME which is listed always has an advantage compared to its peers who is not listed. Because there's a due diligence done, the market has valued it, the market is continuously evaluating how well they're doing. So that one part of due diligence has already been done. So they always get better terms and conditions from vendors, creditors, lenders, from everywhere. After listing, the affairs of the company, the more professional manner, and there's a corporate governance which comes into play, which is it goes hand in hand. Only a company which is doing very well, a very professionally managed company can go for an IPO. Vis-a-vis also, once you go for an IPO and get publicly listed, automatically the corporate governance in that company improves. Actually, the post list.
Before I go to the post listing, a couple of things to extend what Deepika was talking about the valuation part. Couple of examples would have been given there. I'll just give you 1 or 3 examples. One example will be an exceptional case. Don't get carried away by that. But it's a fact. It's a fact. Sky Gold is one of the MSMEs which went in. It's a gold ornament manufacturing company. And they went in for an IPO. The valuation of the company was around 170 rupees or so for the share. Small figures that side, this side doesn't matter because we're talking about bigger figures later. 170 rupees also. Finally, the financial market, the exchange and all got together, they valued it at the issue price at 270 rupees also. 272 also. When that was issued, that was almost now 2.5 years back. The share price went up to, can anybody guess the highest? Not so near. Okay, we'll not waste time. 4,300. It has gone to the market felt that this is a very good company. It's the market which feels. What is that market? People like you and me who invest in the share market. That's all. 4,300. And they went ahead issuing a bonus share. 1:9. What's today's price? Also you can Google it and see. Sky World today's price after 1:9. Multiply by 10.
Division.
Yeah. After that dividend it has become some 300 something. So 330. So it's still at 3,300 arithmetically to speak of. Because 1:9 bonus has been already issued. We can also do this in our cases as and when we have, and the profits will not go out. These profits which are there, even if you give the dividend, 75% of the dividend comes back to you only. If you declare higher dividend. Why worry about it? Only 25% goes out. That's the only expenditure you can think of. Outflow, not an expenditure. Outflow as a charter account to speak of. Okay. And there's a second case. Vinyas Engineering. Innovative. Nearer home in Mysore. Today that 1 year back, 1.5 years back, it went into an IPO. That IPO, the shares are not available in the market. Nobody is ready to sell it. That 25% of the people who bought it, they are not in a position to, they don't want to sell it because they know for sure it will again double, triple. There is a confidence they have on that company. Imagine that kind of a confidence you get to your company, your claims company. Share prices keep going up. And what can be used by the share price going up? On your own valuation of your own investment which was there. Earlier it was on 170 rupees. Today that person's valuation is gone 20 times almost. We can always sell that to that higher figure. Nearer home, the other day I was addressing at the Palace grounds. My friend was also there, if I'm right. At the Palace grounds when FKCCI had the MSME Expo, All India Expo there, they had an exhibition and seminars. I was addressing them and they asked me to address. I told them, we'll get a practical case also to give his facts and figures. Sri Vasavi Adhesives. So they invited him. He came. I asked him to address first, give the figures. Later I said I will address. His company was an adhesive tape manufacturing company. So 5-6 types of adhesive tapes he was manufacturing. 10 types. His value, the share, you and me as chartered accountants of the company, immediately we see what the book value, what the value of the share. The book value is 17 rupees. capital, reserves, plus minus, small minus plus account. So the book value was 17 rupees. The public issue was made at 28 rupees. The valuation, as I told you earlier, the valuation by the private equity fellows are different. The valuation by IPO people are different. So the IPO people made it at 28 rupees. It was issued. It went on up to 110 rupees in the market. He himself said, it's a figures which he gave. So today it is 110 rupees. The biggest advantage because of all that thing which happened was with all the money he collected also. He put up one more plant and he started manufacturing some 55 types of adhesive tapes. The only thing which I couldn't understand, all these 70 rupees, 27 rupees, 110 rupees, market, everything is fine. But what are the 55 types of adhesive tapes is the one which was, my mind was confused about that. But then this is a fact. Your MSME can also do this. This is what is called as the valuation of the company in the market, and the market valuates your company. And you still hold 75% of it in your company. When I say your company, always I refer to your client's company. Okay, some of you are MSME people, yes, please do it. So we'll come to the final post-compliances. The same thing, disclose shareholding for half years. This has slightly changed, it seems. Quarterly they might make. It's okay. Financial results, corporate governance requirements as prepared with the SME platform. Not much at all when compared to the main road IPO. You don't have to worry. And main things like dividends, splits, buyback, bonus rates, it has to be, it's a normal thing to be presented. Board meetings where there are financial repercussions, important things that has to be given. Stock and all the notices sent to shareholders and their outcome. These are the normal things which you have, otherwise also as a private limited company you will be doing it. You are filing these returns in the returns, you are doing it in your companies. Further raising of funds, any changes in the management team, any price sensitive information has to be clear. There was one more thing which I thought I should tell you. Raising of funds. Once you go for an IPO today, now the new rule also has come in. There are some small rules like this, which wherever it's applicable I can always tell you. But this, it came to my mind immediately, I thought I should tell you. Within 1 year of an IPO, you can still go for one more IPO. Further, you feel confident, you feel you have a better share price has increased, and you need funds for expansion, again, further expansion, go for an IPO. And after 2 years, after 3 years, you can also go for the main board also. But going to a main board, I still always keep telling my clients, don't go for the main board because compliances are a little more. But it's okay, once the funds are reaching to the extent of 1,000 crores turnover, 2,000 crores turnover, it matters little. You have to have a secretarial department to do it and they will do it. It's all available. Professional services are always available. So these are some of the important things which I thought. Having said all this, some of you must be wondering, why is it I am telling this to you in the Institute of Chartered Accountants, to the group of Chartered Accountants? There should be something for you, no? What are the opportunities for you? You might tell your client, okay, good, I want to come and go for an IPO. What is the opportunity for you in this? I am sure most of you are into practice, and because you are in practice, it is additional professional work for you. I am very decently telling additional professional work. You know the further to that what it means. Okay. You can be the guiding person for the SMEs in SME. You are the guiding person. He will do as you say only. So that is the important, as a fatherly figure you will be there. Ladies, motherly figure, okay. This is a niche area of practice. Not everybody is doing this practice. How many of you are already in that? I know my friend is there, some couple of you are there. But this is a niche area of practice, do it. A lot of hand holding will be done, not to worry. I have been doing a lot of handholding to many of the chartered accountants. And after IPO is done for 3 years, we do the handholding. That's part of the arrangement also. You will have to, the market maker, the banker, we, the consultant, IPO and consultant, we handhold the MSME for 3 years. But you will be the face of the SME to the IPO consultant and to the bankers and to the stock exchange and to the, you are the one who is the credit. You will have a lot of peer review audits, attestations, company valuations work will be there, lot of work that you will have to develop strategies for your client, advise them on the restructuring of capital. How best it is required for him, you have got to do the restructuring. It has to fit in for him and fit in for the exchange. In between, you and me are there to help him. And still he will have to retain his control. Advise SMEs on IPO and M&A, taxation, etc. Here friends, taxation I specifically have put it in a different color. Because this is almost the last slide, I have to highlight this particular point very much. My dear professional friends, I am almost now 47th year of my practice. That's not my age, that's my practice age. You must be 5 years into it, 10 years into it, or even 1 year into it. Forget about all these 47 years and 1 year, everything. What's it you are trained for in your CA? You are trained for seeing that the accounts are well managed, all that blah blah blah, fine, okay. But the most important point you are trained is how to save tax. Right? Anybody differing with me? Please differ with me. We are trained very well for saving taxes. That's our job. That's what we thought is our job all these years. Please change the mindset. You thought this is your job of saving taxation to your client. And the client also thought that's your job, my chartered accountant's job to save the tax. Right? Perfect match. That's how we are all there together. We are in the profession and he is in the business. Kindly change your mindset now. I will tell you why. You have to have your MSME pay taxes. If he is going for SME, don't tell everybody that you have to pay taxes completely and then you will be out of your business. If you are going for an SME IPO, if the valuation of your company has to go up, please pay taxes. What is the tax you pay? 25%, 27.5%, 30%, right? I gave you the examples of those three. Forget about the extreme case. Adhesive tape fellow, he has gone to 110. What is the valuation he has gone? 110 rupees from 17 rupees book value. What's the multiples there he has got? How many times? How much you are paying? 25% tax, that's all. No? Your valuation goes up only if your profits are shown. Be clear about it. The market wants you to make profits. Because you make profits, you have no other go but to pay taxes. Pay the taxes. You pay 25%, 30% taxes, please pay. This is where you have to convince your claim. Guaranteeing him that if his MSME is doing good and he's got a good future with his expansion or whatever his acquisition or any of those things, please take it. Make him pay taxes, show more profits. There is one important mindset I have come here to make a change in you. Please do it. Any problems you have with this, come back to me, I will argue about the issue. Please show more profits, more valuation, go for SME, pay taxes, go for SME IPO, even your tax amount also comes to the IPO, finished. Why are you worried? That is the reason I am highlighting this particular issue of taxation. You and me are trained only for that. Come out of that mindset. Okay? Will you now?
Yes, sir.
Please. Okay? This is where we can make it change. Joint ventures, you want to do it, you can also do that. Post-issue compliances have to be taken care by you only. You can immediately, when I was talking to one of the MSMEs, they said, sir, if you can value my company to this level, I gave him the valuation and told him, so approximately this would be. Sir, if I get so much money, I can acquire that company in Switzerland, sir. I said, do it. Do it, expand. Switzerland or Netherlands, what was that? Deepika? Acquiring of that company. In Netherlands or Switzerland, what was it? Wherever, okay, it doesn't matter. Okay. He wanted to acquire that company because he saw money, that money, where did it come from? Because he showed profits. And that profits were there. He wanted to. So, these are the opportunities which are available, which has to be put into the mind of the MSMEs. And then the post-issue compliances, again you are a part of it, you will be benefited by that also. And pre and post-listing support will continue to be there. And he will continue to be a public limited company with you for a long time for having done all these things. This is all I would like to present. There are a lot more important changes which are there, but they may not be relevant to be told in a general way. Any specific cases, specific companies, we can always look into that and then discuss those things. And we will be available to you at any point of time. Okay, this is where I want you to think. You will might come up with 100 questions. Please do come. Don't hesitate at all. Because it's something new, niche practice which we are looking at. Having done that, you will have some small stumbling things. Don't worry about that. It will be taken care. Yes, please, questions.
Is there a minimum issue size?
Issue?
Size, how much money
Size.
can be raised?
Issue size, there is no minimum as such, but it will become too expensive for you. There have been earlier days issues as less as 10 to 12 crores. But it's too less. And the share price could also be getting affected by that. Sir, what is that in Hindi they say, Maro bato hati ko maro. You have the confidence to do it, you have the experience. Like when I told this example, the amount to that man, immediately he thought of Netherlands and Switzerland or wherever. He see that thinking. This is the thinking we have to give there. Why 10 crores? But you should be eligible. The point is, whether you want 10 crores or 100 crores is not the issue. Whether you are eligible is the issue. If you are eligible, take the full amount, expand. Put 5 more missions. Manage it. Your profit goes up. The share price which is issued at 200 rupees will go up to 500 rupees. Do it, that's all.
What is the general cost of SME IPO?
It is approximately, now things are slightly going up, around 1 year of interest on the borrowings.
Approximately in the INR amount, we say like 2.5 crores.
It again depends on the amount which you are raising, whether it's 10 crores as you were asking or 100 crores. So all this, it will be very transparent in our discussions with the ecosystem completely. The entire ecosystem will be there with us to talk about it, discuss. That's why I said we should not go to only a limited one investment banker also. We must also get them together one by one against other, do some negotiations.
What is the merchant banker fees involved, sir?
Louder please.
Merchant banker fees.
All put together will be the figure which I was telling. There is not any indicative figure of that. That again depends on the amount raised. They also will be raising up and down on that.
I have a couple of questions. One is what is the ticket size? And the second is what is the main factor which is playing a key role to convince client?
I didn't get the second. I'll give the first one answer. As I told my friend here, there is no minimum ticket size or a maximum ticket size. Anywhere from 10 to 100 crores can easily we can go.
No, sir. When I say ticket size, it is what is that client should expect as cost? I know that it will be less than 1 year's का borrowing cost and other stuff.
Okay.
But अभी client के पास जाएगा तो सीधा पैसा बोलेगा कि कितना पैसा लगेगा?
Yeah, but give me your figures. I'll tell you.
Sir,
Give me your balance sheet. Give me your profitability.
Sir,
Then I
50
can
CR
tell you
if they
that.
want to raise, what will be the cost? 50 CR they want to raise.
But they should be eligible for that, no?
No, after satisfying all the eligibility
It
conditions.
could be around 10 to 15%.
10 to 15?
15%.
So second question is, since you have done many SME, IPOs and all, which is the key factor which is playing a key role to convince client? Like,
With my experience till now, I have addressed many MSME associations, Davangere, Mangalore, Hospet, Bellary, many places, Bangalore. I have seen everybody is concerned about the losing of the control. I don't know why that picture has come in. As much as I said the example of CS students. In the same way, I don't know why they get that kind of a picture. So that is one of the things. Second point would be, what I would say, the eligibility part. That's all.
sir, do they get more business?
Naturally, if you expand yourself, why are you expanding? Because you have more business, you want to expand. Or because you expand, you get more business. Either way, that's a business proposition.
Sure.
Because of the IPO, you will not get business. If you are asking that question, I would say no.
I'll get with your business. Thank you.
So, you mentioned the turnover, right? So, is it consolidated turnover or is it standard?
What exactly you mean by consolidated and standard?
There are so many subsidiary companies.
Yeah.
Should I take the turnover of all the companies and then get it as
See, when it comes to subsidiaries and holding company, it again depends on the which company you are going in for IPO. Now, if it is a holding company, you still have to declare in the DRHP about all the subsidiaries. Or if it's a subsidiary company, it will give you about the other things. You have to give a clear picture of the entire system. Second is, the particular company which you are going in for IPO is the one which is important for the turnover and other things. If the holding company is going in, actually the entire thing will come in.
So you said there is a requirement to have a positive net worth and EBITDA and PAT. So there is a monetary limit of your financial performance for taking to an IPO?
Monetary performance.
Monetary threshold says this much is the...
I told you, raising of less than 10 crores would not be worthwhile looking at that.
I'm saying in terms of your profitability...
Profitability, I won't say that it would be right for me to tell it in an open forum like that. But however, I will switch off this. I think you will, because it's not right on our part to give the figures as such. Somewhere around, what I would say, profitability, a PAT of 2 crores plus, or a turnover of 50 crores plus, or both, is the ideal one. But all depends on the type of the company. What is your next thing? What is your future? What is the profitability of the future? There are so many parameters. Yeah.
Regulation wise there is no restriction.
By SEBI there is no restriction. I told you the restrictions of SEBI already.
So, whenever you approach any merchant banker for the value of your company, you talk only about PAT multiple. Why exactly?
It was that till now. Now March onwards, with the new SEBI rule, it has changed to the operating profits and the EBITDA. And the net worth also. They look at all the three things now. Multiples will come in later. But it is not the only thing, because PAT was the basic thing earlier and the multiples of PAT were being taken into consideration. I told you at the beginning. But now they are also taking into consideration all this net worth, EBITDA, operating profits, and finally they come to PAT.
And whether merchant banker can be underwriter?
No. Underwriter is a different agency by itself. They are a set of people by themselves. They cannot be there. But they coordinate.
In our...
Be careful of that investment bankers or merchant bankers coordinating with the underwriters.
In my case, my first client who went for IPO, the merchant banker and the underwriter are the same according to DRS. I can show you.
Is it?
It would be their subsidiary.
But some subsidiary of this.
No.
Among them,
The company name, merchant banker and underwriter one and the same.
One and the same. And SEBI allowed it.
It is already public issues over 1 year back.
Probably that must be the reason they have brought in the new rules.
Yeah.
Then, I mean, it's not just because interested parties, no?
Yeah, what will be the underwriter commission maximum?
That could be around 2%, 3%. All these put together only will be the total figure was I was telling. All these expenses, merchant bankers, I don't know, 10 to 15% approximately.
What is the official figure which can be disclosed in the DRSP?
Everything will be officially
But
disclosed.
this 15% I have not seen anywhere any publication.
Maybe.
We talked about 15%, 8 to 15%, but
Yeah. Sorry?
we talked about between 8 to 15% fees for the entire public issue process. But officially, how much it can be shown in the DRSP?
Everything is official only. All the payments will be official. If there is an unofficial dealing which will be made, I am not aware of it. And I have not done it. And I don't like to do it at this stage.
Because I was told that only merchant banker can have an agreement with the client. No other can have.
No other person. True. True. But how will you select each of these people? You need a person to do it for you.
Practical point of view.
You got to do it, no? How will you do it? You go to Bombay market, you will get 100 merchant bankers. Go and pick up one and come. That's all. Can you do that? It's the riskiest thing which you will be doing for your thing. Any questions? Yes. Okay, last question, please.
Sorry, sir.
No problem. You can always contact them. There is no issue. Because I should take away the time of everybody.
In this process, I don't know if I should ask this question in this forum, but you can stop me any given point in time.
If that is the case, you can call me up later and ask.
I was just asking how much does a CA make? So IPO is 50 CR, 10 to 15% is my borrowing cost. How much is remaining at the end after paying all the stakeholders? Investment banker, merchant banker, all the other processes, IPO consulting.
After having filed the income tax return of mine, how much fees will you expect from me? Can you give me the figure? If you file the IT returns of Deepika, how much fees you will get from her? How much you will get from me?
Sir, what I'm trying to evaluate in my mind is,
I think that will be going a little deeper into the issues, which others may not like it also. And let's not go. I mean, how much fees you make with the peer review audit, how much fees you make from the statutory audit, you cannot disclose this.
okay, sir,
I feel, hope you don't mind when I'm telling this.
No problem. That's fine.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, it is a paying proposition for the profession. It's a niche market for us, a niche activity for us as startup companies. You will make good practice out of that. I still use the word good practice. Okay? Thank you. Okay, please. Can we have this as the last one?
Yeah.
Huh?
Thank you. Sir, we are finalizing on DRHP. In that one client, there is a GST notice of 1.25 CR, and we are filing an appeal for that.
There is a notice for 1.2.
1.25 CR, and we are filing an appeal for that. In that case, there is no issue in going ahead and filing DRHP, right?
But you must file the...
Disclose it. We disclose, but filing of the DRHP.
I only feel that it should have, the appeal should have been filed already.
The appeal is filed.
Only you are at a safer place.
After filing an appeal, we are going for DRHP. That's fine, right?
Okay. Sir, just a scenario of an actual company which is about 300 crores in turnover.
Specific cases, please call up, we discuss. Okay, because it's taking your time. There are many special, all the cases are special actually. Each case will be different. That is the reason we have to work on those things separately. So, shall I ask the good lady there, last one, okay? Now that there is a lady asking for it. Okay.
So, after listing on the as an SME IPO, if we cross the turnover of that 500 crores or 125 crore, which is in the definition of MSME, Do I have to transition to the main board or is there any such?
Not compulsorily, it need not be transferred to the main board. You continue to be in the MSME. After that, after 3 years, you can shift over to the main board.
But I can, if I don't have to necessarily transition, right?
Not necessarily. But as on date, let me check on that. Will there be SEBI asking you to do it again to go to the main board?
Disclosure is required. Because MSME standard will go off.
Yeah, MSME is gone, but they already
When MSME is gone, only disclosure has to be filed.
disclosure has to be filed, but then what her question is, should I shift over to the main board?
It is option.
Whether the option is available or SEBI says now that you are no more MSME. I am
Only
not
option
clear
is
about
available
it.
for
I
period
can
of
check
3
on
years.
this. I am not clear on this. Okay. There could be a possibility SEBI telling that to go to IPO, but we'll let you. But first you do the IPO, let's see later. Okay. Thank you. Thanks, my dear friends. It was an excellent one for me. Lot of interaction, lot of learning for me also. And let's meet once again anytime. Thank you.
Members, let's take a minute to thank the speaker. Please. So thank you, sir. I call upon CA Rashi sir to present the memorandum to our speaker, Prabhudev Aradhya sir. Members, let's put our hands together. It's indeed great pleasure and honor to me to extend my vote of thanks on behalf of the management committee Bangalore branch. So we thank you for bringing a wealth of knowledge, experience and wisdom to this platform. Finally, I thank all the attendees here for participating and having an interaction with the speaker. Good night, one and all.